Welcome to Muslim Apologetics Australia. Unfortunately, as you know, the Muslims, when they live in the West, when they become secularized and liberalized, they start to fall for the customs of the non-Muslims, and they fall into sin, they fall into transgression, and they'll go into celebrating Halloween, celebrating Christmas, normalizing this sort of interfaith practices. And we've seen a Muslim politician by the name of Senator Fatima Payman who came out and said, "Happy Diwali." As you can see, she's a Muslim Australian politician. She says, "To everyone celebrating Diwali, I wish you joyous and prosperous festival filled with light, love and happiness." Now, when we go to what Diwali is basically the festival of light over darkness, and it comes from the pagan rituals of the Hindu gods, and so it's their festival. And so what this Muslim politician does, in order to gain votes, in order to appease the West, in order to appease her Hindu followers, she comes out and says, "Happy Diwali." And this is basically commemorating, wishing, giving blessings to the false religion, false gods, false pagan beliefs. And some Muslims actually think that this is permissible. They think that this is permissible to do this. They completely ignore, do not follow the Christians and the Jews. Do not imitate them. Do not follow. They ignore all of this. They ignore the fact that how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hates and dislikes and despises shirk. How Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want you to support them in their false beliefs. Does not want you to congratulate them in their false beliefs. And we can see there's a fatwa. There's many fatwas. And you can see Shaykh Uthaymin, he speaks about this in his, and I'll put the hyperlink below this video. Ibn Qayyim, he objects to this. Imam Taymiyyah, Shaykh al-Islam, objects to this, greeting them for their practices. And I'll put the hyperlink below this, and you can read it for yourself. They disapprove this. But what do the some of the Muslims do? They do fatwa shark. They go and look for a particular scholar and so forth to find to approve this. And so what do they bring? They will bring so Egypt, Dar al-Ifta, right? So they bring a verse from Quran 68, and they say, "Do not expel you from your homes. God does not forbid you from who do not fight you because of your religion, and do not expel you from your homes from being righteous towards them and acting justly towards them." Acting justly towards them? I mean, why would you use this verse of the Quran? That we need to act justly towards them, and so what? We need to go and congratulate them for their paganistic worships. I mean, that verse doesn't fit. I mean, why would they bring that verse up? And then they use this from the Quran. Listen to the verse they just say. They say, "And when you greeted with greetings, greet in return with a better greeting." Now, how does that verse actually condone that we should wish them with best wishes for their festivals? It doesn't. So, just an example, if they come up to me and they say, "Happy Ramadan," right? Or "Happy Ramadan," and then I greet them back by saying, "Happy to your pagan gods," or a better greeting, is this now going to be acceptable? No, Allah is not talking about that. You can greet them so long as it's not displeasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, for instance, if he says, "May God's blessing be upon you," I could turn around and say, may God's blessing be upon you even more. There's nothing wrong with this. But if he says to me, happy Ramadan, and then I fall into the trap of saying happy to your gods, then that is when it crosses the line. Okay? So Darul Iftar, this organization from Egypt, these are the same people who've normalized relations with Israel and who actually support Israel over the Palestinians. They support al-Sisi. They've introduced a lot of secular liberal thought, a lot of liberalism, a lot of feminism into the religion. This is what they have done. Many of their teachings, even when it comes to hudud, the punishments of hudud, they've removed a lot of these teachings, right? So this Dar al-Iftar, it is run by the government organization. So obviously they're going to change their fatwas to appease the West and to appease the government officials. So do not trust them in their fatwas, and they'll use verses of the Quran and manipulate, as you can see. And I've asked an individual, who tried to debate this issue, and I said to him, can you show me a single example from the prophetic teaching where the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ went and congratulated the pagan Quraysh, where he specifically went and congratulated them for their false gods? And then, so you know what he says in response? He says, show me where the Prophet ﷺ said we shouldn't do it. So not only can he not find the Prophet ﷺ doing it, the Prophet ﷺ is supposed to be the best example, right? He's supposed to show the most kindness and mercy, right, to his fellow non-Muslims, right? He himself, in his whole entire life, there is not an example where he does this or where he says this. And so what they say in return is, show me where he specifically said not to do it. And of course, we can use where the Prophet ﷺ said in his hadith, for example, do not imitate them, do not follow them in their customs and so forth. And of course, that evidence is not good enough. Then what I would say in return is, and this is what they say. And then what they say is, this is what they say there's a difference between celebrating with them and wishing them. Celebrating with them, I agree, is totally wrong, but wishing them has a difference of opinion. So basically what they're saying is, if you go and attend their functions, this is wrong, but if you wish them well, then this is okay. And I say to myself, there's really no difference. There's really no difference. Because that's like saying you don't believe in birthdays and things like that because you don't personally go, but then you wish someone a happy birthday. It makes no difference. And it's as contradictory as saying, imagine me saying, I can wish someone a happy worship to go worship Jesus. Or I can go worship Krishna, the elephant god. I can go and say to that person, if he's going to go worship an elephant god, I say to him, happy wishes to you in your worship of Krishna, the elephant god, or Ganesh, the elephant god. Would this be acceptable? Of course it's not acceptable. You should not be wishing them to go do this idol worship. And then what they say in response is, they'll say, the Prophet gave space to Christian delegations from Abyssinia on Sunday to pray inside Masjid Nabawi in Medina. So they're trying to say, well, the Prophet ﷺ gave them a prayer room to go and pray in, right? But there's a difference. He did do that, but that's not the same as wishing them blessings for worshipping Jesus, right? You can give them an area, if they're part of the Islamic State, they can have their churches and so forth, or their synagogues. They can go and worship and do what they have to do. But there's a difference between that and saying specifically that they can go and worship Jesus, giving them the blessing. Yeah, so it's just ridiculous that you could say, "Oh, I'm not going to participate, but I'm going to wish you a happy worship of Krishna or worship of this." When all of this idol worship is the most hated, it is shirk. It is something that's going to send them to hell forever, and you're wishing them well. You're wishing them well. It's like wishing a terrorist to go commit act of terrorism that's going to kill people. It's going to make people end up in hell forever. You're going to go wish them, wish them well. That's how incoherent this sounds.